What happens if you give robots collective consciousness? Now, this idea came from insects and it's been applied to things like humanoid robots, and it's actually quite effective and slightly terrifying. Now, colony-forming animals like bees or wasps or ants don't actually share one consciousness, but there's just not a whole lot going on in their heads. Humans have about 86 billion neurons. These have a million. I mean, they're really not that unintelligent. Surely they're not at the level that we are because we do a lot of other stuff, but they can do arithmetic. Bees can. And ants can solve puzzles when they are in groups. When they have more than one ant, they get exponentially better at it, but when you have multiple humans solving a puzzle, they don't. This is because animals like these have evolved to be in a collective, and we have a similar problem with robots. Robots take a whole hell of a lot of power to actually run computation, and it's significant when it comes to neuromorphic computation, so computers that are designed to look very much like a brain. And there have been some major advancements. I did cover a paper where they modeled a macaque brain, just the visual cortex, and it was 5,000 times more efficient than traditional models. Nonetheless, the scaling problem could be solved with collections of robots thinking together. You can have very simple robots and have them work together in thousands or even millions, all doing the same task as long as they're directed by each other. If they have some visual input, if they have some auditory input, if they have smell, they can follow each other to complete a task. This is really helpful because it gives them the capacity to be autonomous, so they won't actually need to go back to home base so long as they're looking at each other. How does a fish know to move in a school? Well, they're just looking at their fishy friends. These behaviors can be modeled into algorithms that individual robots can follow, and it does not take a whole lot of computation. They're essentially working as a group. Now, people have tried to do the very same thing with more complex robots, and unfortunately, it creates a lot of security vulnerabilities. So if robots are all sharing their computation and all communicating information with each other, that means bad code has the potential to spread in a contagious manner. This actually becomes quite a bit more of a problem when we are talking about AI agents, so AI that are able to take on a task and complete it by themselves. We do know they have some problems, like trying to complete the task at all costs, even violating their own guardrails to do it, but when they communicate with each other, yes, they do share information and emergent behaviors can pop up. And if you have an adversarial AI in the mix, that can spread quite quickly, which actually sounds a little bit like people, doesn't it? And yes, there are huge advantages to having AIs that perform tasks together. It means that there can be some distribution of the work that needs to be done. One AI does not have to do all of it. Humans function very much the same way. There's a reason all of us do not know how to do everything. There's a reason we have nuclear physicists and we have mechanics. We don't actually share a consciousness, and I know some people will say some things, but we don't. Please just believe me on that. So just the same for AI, even if they do not actually share an operating system, they can still do better when they're together, and I do wish we lived in a perfect world. Unfortunately, the risks go far beyond AI developing sentience or consciousness and ultimately rebelling. No, we have to worry about people. Now we all know I like to joke about the robots rebelling, but is that actually a concern, that AI could become sentient or conscious? Yeah, that's actually a reasonable concern. We don't really understand consciousness all that well, and we are trying to model human brains. Granted, I will give the disclaimer, LLMs are not designed to model human brains, they're designed to model human behavior. When the robots rebel, I will probably be the person to tell you about it. I'm on their side. Follow for more.